Elementary students solve subtraction problems in many different ways, depending on their grade level. Today I will show you some of these strategies by solving 108 minus 29 for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. As students progress in the grades, the subtraction progresses as well. So we're going to start off with 2nd grade. So 2nd grade standard is NC.2.NBT.7. The standard for 2nd grade that we are going to focus on is NC.2.MBT.7. So we're going to add and subtract within 1,000 related in the strategy to a written method using concrete models or drawings, strategies based on place value, properties of operations, and relationship between addition and subtraction. So today we are going to do a strategy which is my ultimate favorite, and we're going to use concrete models or drawings. I think that concrete models and drawings are so useful, especially a problem like we have. 108 minus 29, we're going to solve it, we're going to get through it. But it's not really a number that we can really do in our head really easily. Like there's some numbers like 50 minus 50 that are a lot easier to do, but 108 minus 29 is a little bit more difficult. So having a concrete model such as base 10 blocks to work with makes it a lot easier to solve these kind of problems. So we're going to start off by looking at 29. 29 is an interesting number because children can look at 29 and realize that they need to break it up and make it easier for them to work with. And we're going to make it a 20. Students can look at the tens column and realize that there's a 2 and make it into a 20. And we're also, don't forget that 108. So what about 108? So 108 is these 100 cubes and these 8 cubes. So there's 100 little cubes that make one base 10 block, and then there's 8 off to the side, little tiny cubes. And we're going to use the counting back strategy today to solve this 2nd grade strategy, because we're going to take away 29 from 108. So we're going to take away 20 from our problem. We're going to mark up this instead because it allows us to see what is being taken away. So each of these columns has 10 cubes. So we're going to take away 2 of them because 10 plus 10 is 20. So we're going to take away these 2. Now, we cannot forget about the 9 ones that we have left over. So we're going to take away 9. Now you don't have to go all the way down the column because it's only 9, unlike 10, which was the last 2. Now we are going to count all of our cubes that we have left to get our answer. So there's 1 down here, and then we're going to count, so 10, 20, we're going to count by tens. 10s, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So we're counting on by tens, and we're also skip counting. So there's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And then we're going to come over here because we cannot forget about these little cubes. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this one down here. So there was 70 up here, and then there was this one which was 1 and 8. So 70 plus 9 we're going to count on, and that gives us 79. So if we want to figure out 108 minus 29, we are going to look at a concrete model to help us solve it, to make it easier for us. After 2nd grade comes 3rd grade. So we're going to review a 2nd grade subtraction strategy. So the third grade subtraction strategy that we're going to be reviewing today is to have students add and subtract whole numbers up to and including 1,000 by using estimation strategies to assess reasonableness of answers, model and explain how the relationship between addition and subtraction can be applied to solve addition and subtraction problems, and use expanded form to decompose numbers and then find sums and differences. So we're going to use the estimation strategy to assess reasonableness of answers. So we're going to look at 108. When you look at 108, it seems reasonable to go down to 100. Now, we can't forget to put a subtraction. Okay, now 29. It does seem like it would go down to 20, but it is a little bit closer to 30, so I would estimate 30. It's great that we estimated and used our strategies, and we turned 108 into 100, and we turned 29 into 30. But we can't exactly forget about the numbers in the ones place. So we're going to circle those. Because we subtracted 100 minus 30, that would be 70. And then we would add but we have from 108 minus 100, that would be 8. That's the difference between 108 and 100. And then the difference between 30 and 29 would be 1. So we're going to subtract 1. We're going to add 1, my bad. And that equals 9. So there's 70 and 9, which equal 79. So because we estimated, we incorporated addition and subtraction into a math problem. And because we used the estimation strategy, it made it easier to work with numbers that we were more familiar with. And because we used the estimation strategy for the third grade standard, we got 79, which is the correct answer. By fourth grade, subtraction is interesting because students have had a lot of practice with subtraction. They've learned place value, they've learned how to estimate, they've learned a lot about subtraction. So by the time they get to fourth grade, they're really, really familiar with subtraction. So the strategy that students use in fourth grade to solve subtraction problems is NC.4.NBT.4. And that strategy says that students should be able to add and subtract multi-digit whole numbers up to and including 100,000 using the standard algorithm with place value understanding. So that basically means that students should have a understanding of place value by this time in their schooling, and they will use a standard algorithm to solve the problem. The standard algorithm is one that is very, very common, that a lot of people know and a lot of their parents know as well. So when you're doing a standard algorithm, you want to make sure that the largest number is on top and the smaller number is on the bottom. So for our larger number, 108, that's our top number that we're going to work with. And 29 is our bottom number that we're going to work with. Also, don't forget when you're solving the standard algorithm to include your subtraction sign in this line. There's no really formal name for this line, but it makes it easier for you to organize your mathematical thoughts. And then you will want to make sure that your numbers are lined up. So your ones, your tens, and your hundreds. So first you're going to start in your ones place. and then you're going to move to your tens place, then you're going to move to your hundreds place. Alright, so let's look at the problem. Can you subtract 8 from 9? Think about it for a second. You cannot subtract 8 from 9. If you do not have something, you would typically need to borrow something. Well, in subtraction, it's called regrouping. So the 8 is going to come over and talk to the 0. And because the 0 was very nice, the 0 let us borrow or regroup the number, and the number will allow us to make the 8 into an 18. So we're going to cross out the 8 and make it 18 because we got a number from the tens place. But then you realize that when you go over to the 0, you technically can't take anything because 0, what is there for you to take? So we're going to have to move all the way to the hundreds place. So you're going to cross out the 1 and you're going to take away from the 1. Now, the next number down from 1 is a 0. So 0 minus 0, because there's nothing there, is 0. So you're just going to leave that be. And then you're going to move over to the tens place. You are going to make the 0 into a 10 because you are in the tens place. Now, we are going to, so just because you take away a 10 doesn't necessarily mean you stop there. You still have to look at the ones place and see, can you subtract from the ones place? Like, is there anything for you to technically regroup or borrow? So you're going to look at the ones place. 8 minus 9. No, you can't. So you're going to have to take away from the tens place. Now, 9 minus 2 is 7. So you needed to borrow. So you're going to take the 18, you're going to make the 8 and 18 now because we had to take away from the tens place. Now, 18 minus 9 is 9. Basically, you take your 10 from your tens place and you add it to your ones place. And that's where the 18 happens. So in this problem, in the ones place, it's 18 minus 9, which is 9. And then in the tens place, 9 minus 2 is 7. And then, remember what we said before, this is a 0. You can put a 0 there as a placeholder, but you don't really need a 0 there. As mentioned, our answer is 79. And that is using the standard algorithm in 4th grade. Now, these are all different strategies and all different ways to solve problems in different grades. As students progress through the grades, having to solve these math problems gets a little more difficult, but all the strategies build up on one another, and there are many different ways to solve math problems as elementary school students.